Hey there, welcome to Mike's Collection, episode 347. I'm Mike, and the part of my collection that I'm going to be talking about today is the top 20 action figures of 2024. Now, when I say top 20, I have a couple of quick rules about this whenever I do my annual list. Is the action figure has to have been released in this calendar year, and I actually have to have acquired it. So they make thousands of action figures every year. They make some really cool stuff that I'm just either not into or I didn't get it for, maybe it was too expensive. Anyway, I can't take into consideration every action figure. So I get the ones that I like, and these are my favorites out of those. Now, the way I do my best of the year list is the last couple of years I've been doing quarterly videos where I take all the action figures I bought in that 3-month period, I put them all on my desk, and through a process of elimination, I whittle it down to my top 15 or 20 from that quarter. So I have already done 4 videos this year. First quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and just about a week ago, I posted my best of the 4th quarter. So what I'm doing today is I have taken just those figures that made it to the next round, and I've put them all together on my desk just over here. And I am now going to go through them in the same process of elimination, and I'm going to get it down to my final 20 for the year. This is never an easy task because I really only buy action figures I like. So whittling it down from, and it's been, just so you know, it's been probably about 90 figures every quarter. So I end up with, I have to whittle it down from about 100 to 20, and that's pretty much where I am here again. But these are the cream of the crop. So I have got approximately, let's say about 80 figures, because 20 figures or so graduated from each of my previous videos. But in the week since I bought since I filmed my last video, I have gotten a few more toys. Most of them were Christmas presents, so those ones are being brought into this as well. So anyway, without any further ado, why don't we flip things around here, and we'll take a look at my desk, and we'll start eliminating action figures. All right, so here we go. The desk is very full. There are lots of action figures from lots of different brands, so much so that I couldn't even really fit them all into my kind of devoted area. So you can see I have a little space on my desk here between this big G.I. Joe bookshelf and between this little shelf where I keep my reaction figures. Anyway, I like to try and work within that space, but the figures have overflowed, and there's actually a few figures over here that I just could not fit on the desk. So we'll get to those guys as we clear out some room in the front. So this is not an easy task. As I've said, these are all action figures that made it through a previous round of elimination. So occasionally I have to buy figures that I don't really want because maybe I want the other figure that it was packaged with, or maybe I'm trying to complete a Build-A-Figure or something. But you won't find any of those figures in here. Those figures have already all been eliminated. So these are things that I either really wanted from the get-go or things that were pleasant surprises and I liked them more than I thought I would. Anyway, it's a whole bunch of stuff. But yeah, these videos always go long, so I should get right to it, I guess. And I think it will be harder to eliminate figures from the 4th quarter because I just shot that video and it's hard to let a figure go that I just put through to the best of the year list. But there's a couple of figures from previous quarters, like the 1st quarter, 2nd quarter, that with time, I think it'll be a little easier to let them go. For example, I have a lot of Marvel Legends in here. A lot of these Marvel Legends were from the 1st quarter or the 2nd quarter. So like Wolfsbane from the X-Men and Namorita here from the New Warriors. Those were characters that I have wanted for years. I loved their comic books when I was a kid, and it just seemed a real shame that we never had action figures of these characters, especially when we're trying to complete our teams. But when it comes down to, like, are they the greatest figures? Sometimes they're made using pretty basic bodies. Now, Wolfsbane, I think, is probably mostly new parts because she's got her, like, hairy werewolf arms. But Namorita is probably from the neck down, just another figure that's been repainted. Same as another new warrior character I've got over here is Justice. This is a guy I was really excited to finally get an action figure of. But when all's said and done, his costume design is rather plain. He's just got that kind of boring star logo. There's nothing really unique about his sculpt. It's just a previous figure kind of repainted in his colors. So even though I love these characters and I'm super happy to get them, those are the guys that are probably most likely to go first. But let's start up front. As I do with all these videos, I put my smaller figures up front, and they're usually the easiest ones to eliminate. However, these are the best of the small figures. Now, these guys here, actually, I just got them for Christmas. So these are Godzilla reaction figures. We've got Mecha Godzilla and King Ghidorah. They are done in these kind of funky green, metallic blue colors. These guys are really cool, but they did not get assessed in one of my prior videos. These are brand new to the desk because I just got them in the past week. And even though I love these colors, I really like the weird color schemes. I don't think these guys would have made it through to the next round. So I'm going to start off by eliminating both of them. So I think the last reaction figures that I have left are Derek Smalls from Spinal Tap, Godzilla's skeleton, and the Count from Sesame Street. Now all these figures are really great. I can't imagine them beating out some of these figures here, but those really are nice, especially that Godzilla skeleton. That was such a cool, unique thing when it came out. But since I got this figure in, I believe, the first quarter, they've actually re-released it twice. They did another one with a slightly different paint job, and then they did a glow-in-the-dark version. So it feels a little less special than it did initially. And as cool as it is, I have this other figure over here, which is a half rotted Godzilla. You can see he's got a skull face, but his body is still like melting away there. I think that figure is a lot more likely to advance, and I don't really see two Godzilla skeletons on my best of the year list. So as much as this figure is awesome, I think I'm going to eliminate him next. Okay, let's get harsh with some of the Marvel Legends here. So Wolfsbane, I already commented, I'm very happy to have this character. She's long overdue, and this was a really well done figure of her, but it's just not going to make my best of the year list, so she's going to go. Namorita, I don't know if she'll make it to the end, but I think if I was going to keep one member of the New Warriors, it would probably be her over Justice. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of Justice. And while we're here, let's talk about the Goblin Queen, Madeline Pryor. This is another character I have wanted for a long, long time. When I started reading comic books in the 1980s, the Inferno storyline, in which the Goblin Queen was a big part of it, that came along pretty early in my comic collecting career, we'll say. So yeah, I've always liked this character. She always seemed like a very important, like big bad to me. And to finally get a figure of her after like 40 years is awesome. And I think it's a well-made figure. But it's not in her most iconic outfit. Her other outfit was a lot skimpier, more like a bikini, and I think they played this one a little safe. So it's not her greatest outfit. And as far as, like, even though it's a really beautiful face sculpt and everything, I think between Captain Marvel over here and Sharon Carter, I think they might even have a leg up in that department. So I think I'm going to get rid of both the Goblin Queen and Justice. Now, Hallows Eve back here, this is a new Spider-Man villain. She was just introduced in the comic books like within the last like 2, maybe 3 years. And I think it's really cool to get new characters in action figure form. But her design is pretty basic, if I can get her out of here without knocking everything over. So you can see like her boots, for example. Even though they've got that kind of torn look, it's just done with paint. You know, they didn't sculpt that. Same as like the top of her gloves there. It's just all done with paintwork. There's not a ton of new sculpting with this figure. So even though I'm happy to get a new character, I'm very happy she's on my shelf. She's not going to be a toy of the year, so I'm going to eliminate Hallows Eve. Okay, I had to shimmy some stuff around so I could focus on my next elimination. And sadly, that is going to be Recondo from the G.I. Joe Classified line. I had Recondo when I was a kid. He's a very cool design. He's the G.I. Joe Jungle Trooper. They've done a really good job of kind of taking that retro figure and just adding more detail, making him better than ever. But it's just my attachment to the character. He was always kind of a mid-level character for me. I had my absolute favorites when I was a kid. I had a few that I didn't like. And Rakonda was just kind of, one of the middle guys. And so I just don't have that same attachment to him as a character, even though the figure is really nice. So I think I'm going to let him go. Now I've got a couple more Marvel Legends that I'm looking at here. Both She-Hulk, which is a really great figure, really nice sculpt, and also her villain, Titania. And this figure just came out in the recent Secret Wars storyline, or action figure line based on the old comic book storyline. Both figures are really nice. But do I need two big muscle women going through to my best of the year list? I think if one figure was going to make it, Titania probably has the edge, just because there's never been an action figure of her before, and she's a figure that I've wanted an action figure of for a long time. Whereas, even though this is a nice She-Hulk, there have been lots of other She-Hulks in the past. This might be the best one, but yeah, I think I'm going to let She-Hulk go. Another Marvel Legend here, we got Power Princess. This is basically Marvel's knockoff version of Wonder Woman. I don't have a whole lot of attachment to this character, but I just think it's a really, really well done figure. So I don't know if I'm ready to let her go. We got Frostbite Batman back here from McFarlane Toys. This here is Extendar. He's kind of this knight/robot character from Masters of the Universe. This is the Origins version of him. I've got a few Masters of the Universe figures here. We've got Stratos, Reptilax, Lord Grasp. I think that might be it, at least as far as Origins figures go. I do think he's really cool. I like that pearlescent plastic. I like his extending feature. But as far as characters go, I just had no attachment to this character. I did not have the vintage toy when I was a kid. I think those other three figures that I showed you probably have a better chance of advancing. So I think I'm going to let Extendar go. Again, every one of these eliminations is tough because this is a really cool figure. But sorry, Extendar, you got to go. And actually, well, before I pull him out of here, I'm just noticing Carnage from the corner of my eye over here. This was a really cool Carnage figure. It's based on the live-action movie. So Venom Part 2, Let There Be Carnage. Really cool design. I really like Carnage as a kind of character, as a concept. But I like the comic book version better. This guy's actually, I feel, a little too big, a little too oversized. So even though it's a very cool figure, I find those tentacles on his back are kind of a pain in the ass. He takes up a lot of room on my shelf. That's why he's kind of tucked in the back here. Cool figure, but yeah, he's going to go. Now I'm going to pop back down here to these other Masters of the Universe figures for a second. Out of the three of them, I think this is the best Stratos figure that's ever been made. And there have been a lot of Stratoses. I just really like the look of this one. It's based on the cartoon. It's nice and clean looking. But I do have a lot of Stratoses in my collection already. I think he's going to go Lord Grasp. I love this figure. This is only the second version of Lord Grasp we've ever gotten. But when we got the Classics version some years ago, that made my best of the year list. And this one doesn't really bring a whole lot new to the table. So Reptilax is a brand new character. He's never had a toy before. He's got a very interesting design. So I don't even know if he'll make it through to the end, but I think he's going to stick around, but I'm going to have to let these two go. Now, if we come back over this way for a minute, a line that I am really enjoying these days is McFarlane's DC Superpowers figures, which are based on the old 80s action figures. You can see I've got my collection displayed just over here. I've got quite a few of them. But they are relatively small and simple figures compared to a lot of the larger, more detailed figures I collect. So I kind of put this one Green Lantern figure through as a representative of the whole collection. And it's a really nice figure. I like all the bright colors, the kind of golden age look to the character. But I also have this figure here. This is the Goon. Now, this was made by a different company. This was, I think it was Toy Otter that made this guy. So this is based on, he's not a DC character. He's like an independent character. They made a whole line of these figures, but they are done in the same style as the Superpowers. And between the two of them, I still think the Goon is more interesting. He's got like a bigger, bulkier build. He's just, he's a more interesting character. So even though by eliminating the Green Lantern, I won't have any actual superpowers left on my desk here, the Goon will still kind of be representing that form factor of action figure, and he might still have a chance. So anyway, we're going to get rid of Green Lantern. And this retro card Scarlet, it's really nice. I wasn't completely sold on it at first because I liked the version of Scarlet that they had released previously. This one is a lot truer to her original 80s look, and I have come to appreciate it more, so much so that it made it through the first round of eliminations. But you can see that she is built on this body here with the kind of onesie, and I've got another figure right over here. This is Glenda. She's got the same body from the neck down as Scarlet. It's just that she's got a new head, and she is a unique character based off of a foreign repaint of Scarlet. And I just think she's a little bit more exciting because we've never had an official figure of her before. But the two figures are just too similar. I don't see both of them going through. So I'm going to let Glenda stick around, but I'm going to eliminate Scarlet. Okay, now that I've cleared out a little bit of space, I can bring these two figures front and center. They were kind of tucked over to the side before. So I think it was the second quarter. I got this figure here, which is the Cobra Scout, I think is what they called her. So this is a female Cobra Trooper in the gray Stinger colors, and she is driving the classic Cobra four-wheeler known as the Ferret. And it's just a really cool vehicle. It's got like little shocks on it, so it's got a good little bounce. And normally vehicles, I don't include them in my best action figure of the year list, but if they came packaged with an action figure, I see it as kind of like an accessory to that figure. So it really gives that figure a leg up because she's got a pretty cool accessory. And even though this is a classic vehicle, it was a new character. I don't have any nostalgic attachment to the Cobra Scout. And then the very next quarter, we got the little ATV repainted in Tiger Force colors. I believe it's called the Tiger Paw this time around. And it came with a driver. This is Sabretooth / Wreckage. This character has had two different names over the years. I can't remember what they called him in this particular instance. It's basically the Cobra Saboteur Firefly repainted to be a G.I. Joe character in these cool black and brown colors. Now, of the two figures, I prefer Sabretooth over the Scout, and of the two ATVs, I prefer the Tiger Paw over the Ferret. So this one here is going to be eliminated. Now, this next elimination pains me to do, but this here is Merman from the Masters of the Universe New Eternia line. So it is a line of 7-inch action figures, kind of reimagining some of the classic characters. They haven't changed Merman all that much. His design is pretty much what we've seen on almost every iteration of him before. But it does add enough new design elements that warranted me buying it, for one thing, because I'm not really collecting this line of figures. It's a cool figure, no doubt. I love his kind of glassy eyes. That's the most new, unique feature about this particular figure. But I've got so many mermen now. I've got mermen that are better than this merman. Oftentimes when characters make my list, like for example, I've got the Scarlet Spider back here still in contention. I've got lots of Scarlet Spider-Mans in my collection, but this guy is so much better than any previous version. So they've really improved the character. So that's why he's got a fighting chance here. Merman, even though this is a cool figure, it's not the best merman they've ever done. So even though I absolutely love this character, I think I'm going to have to let this merman go. So I think I have two more Masters of the Universe figures here that I didn't talk about. So I actually forgot about her here. This is the Filmation style Teela. So this is a very nice figure. It's much better than the previous version that Super 7 had produced. I like it a lot. These Filmation figures are really nice, and they do a really good job of capturing the animation. And then I have another Teela over here from the new Eternia line, where she's kind of reimagined with this green skin to kind of be the sorceress / goddess. It's a pretty cool figure. I don't know if she'll make it to the end, But we'll take another look at her when I can actually get to her. She's kind of buried back there amongst the other figures. But this Tila, as nice as it is, I don't think it's going to make my best of the year list. I still think if one of the Origin scale figures were going to make it, I still think Reptilax has the advantage there. So I'm going to let Tila go. Okay, I feel I've made some progress, but there's still so many figures to go through, and it is getting harder. I like all of these figures, but I think it's not just about the construction of the figure, it's about my nostalgic ties to the character sometimes. So even though I have no nostalgic ties to Reptilax, he's just a very cool new design, so he's got a leg up. Whereas Namorita, the figure is fine, but it might be more about my nostalgic ties to the character. Now, if I go way over here, this is a really cool figure. This was a Build-A-Figure. This is the Void. Maybe let me haul him out here so we can take a better look at him. I can't really get him to stand on his own because his tentacles are so heavy. So I've got him leaning against my tiger paw here. But if you can see, he's this kind of translucent purple monster with all these arms on his head, and he's got all these crazy tentacles coming out from the sides of him. This is a cool design. I like the translucent plastic. I like how freaky he is. But I don't have any attachment to this character. And it is a little hard to display the figure. He is a little too top heavy. I thought it was going to be easier to eliminate this guy, but now that I'm pulling him out and I'm like looking at him again, I'm like, he really is a cool looking figure. But yeah, I think I'm going to have to let the Void go. As cool as he is, I just don't care about this character. Okay, I've got a couple of G.I. Joes I think I'm going to take into consideration here. So let me just move Jack-O-Lantern out of the way. So first off, I'll mention about him. This is a Marvel Legend figure. It is not necessarily the best Marvel Legend to come out this year. Like the Void, who I just eliminated, was probably a lot cooler in design than this guy. But I absolutely loved this guy when I was a kid. When I started collecting comic books, this guy was very prominent. And even though he wasn't around for a really long time, the original Jack-O-Lantern, I just loved him. And we've had a few Jack-O-Lantern figures over the year, but we've never got one that really looked like how he appeared in those 1980s comics. And I love it. So that's why he's still sticking around. Anyway, as for G.I. Joes, I've got the Techno Viper here, all in purple. And I've got the Snow Serpent here in the retro white and blue colors. Both of these figures are very, very cool. I loved both of these trooper types when I was a kid. And it seems almost crazy to me that either of them might not make it to my best of the year list because they're just such cool designs. But with the Snow Serpent, we already did get this figure previously in a different color scheme. It was just a little bit darker with kind of like brown fur instead of the white fur. I think back then I said that figure didn't make my best of the year list because of the color variations, and that if he had come in the more classic colors, he might have had a better chance. So here he is in the better colors, but now the figure just seems a little bit, it's not as new. I've had the previous version from like 2022. So yeah, this figure it lacks some newness now. So maybe if they had started with this version first, it would have made my best of the year list a couple of years ago. But now it's just, I think I'm going to have to let him go. And I brought Tila forward for a closer look. You can see what a really nice figure it is. A very pretty face sculpt. I like the outfit. I like this like long, soft goods, like snakeskin skirt that she has that comes across the back of the costume. It's a nice figure, there's no doubt, but yeah, it's not her most iconic of looks. I have lots of Tilas in my collection. Yeah, it's just not going to be Toy of the Year for me, I'm afraid, so I'm going to have to let her go. Okay, this is getting really tough. I've got a lot of cool figures here. I know I haven't talked about a lot of them yet. There's a few here that you guys, if you're regulars to my channel, you wouldn't have seen yet. Most of these figures I have reviewed, but I mentioned I got a couple toys for Christmas. This gigantic King Ghidorah from Hiya Toys was one of the ones I got for Christmas. My wife got this for me. So he's taking up a lot of room on the desk. You can't really tell because I've got his wings folded down, but yeah, he is a very big figure and he's taking up a lot of room. But anyway, he's very, very cool. Another figure I got for Christmas was this Tarn Ultimates figure from my brother. That's a Super 7 Ultimates figure. He's very cool. Soundwave Ultimates, I just got him earlier this month. We got Duke and Starduster. They're very similar in design, as you can tell. I don't know if they'll both make it. I'm pretty sure one of them is going to have to get eliminated, but I'm not sure which one because I feel the other one is definitely going to advance because it's such a good figure. This is Proto Spawn from McFarlane Toys. This is based on the original sketches of Spawn that Todd McFarlane did when he was in high school. And obviously the character evolved before it became a comic book character. But I thought it was very, very cool that McFarlane made a action figure of his original drawing. But man, I think the competition just might be too fierce this year. So I think I'm going to have to let go of Proto Spawn. Maybe let's move over here to some of these Marvel Legends. So I got these two right around the same time. So this is Sharon Carter. She's an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. and sometimes Captain America's girlfriend. And then we've got Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers in her Warbird outfit. Both of these figures are really nice and such major improvements over the previous versions. Like I could show you the previous version of Carol Danvers. I don't have her in my collection. I was kind of waiting for them to make a good one, and they finally did. It is so much better. And then when it comes to Sharon Carter, I have the previous version, and it looks ridiculous compared to this new version. This is just such a vast improvement. The face sculpt is beautiful on this figure. So I like these both a lot, and a lot of it is about how much of an improvement they are over the previous figure. But I think they have a lot of the same kind of pros and cons as far as the sculpting and the design. I think Sharon Carter has the leg up, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of Captain Marvel. And you know what? While I'm at it, again, it's a really nice figure. I don't have a ton of ties to Power Princess, but I think it's the best Wonder Woman figure I have in my collection. Because I have a few Wonder Woman, and none of them are as good as this. So that's kind of what makes me want to keep this one around. But Power Princess is just, she's just not that interesting of a character in the Marvel Comics. So even though it's a really nice figure, I think I'm going to have to let her go too. Now I've got a few bird weirdos over here. I've got Angel. He is the X-Men character with the angel wings. You can't probably really tell from here, but he's got some really nice angel wings that fold out. He's got a really wide wingspan. He's very cool. We've got the young version of Spider-Man's The Vulture. This is based off of the animated look, and it's very cool. The wings are not nearly as effective, but it's a nice looking figure. And then we've got Raptor from G.I. Joe. He has got a really cool pair of mechanical wings that are all folded up on his back. All these figures are really nice. You might have noticed I've got a lot of Godzillas here. This is the Godzilla -1 Ultimates figure from Super 7. So this is based on the movie that came out last year, which was incredible. It's very, very cool. But then I also have I think they call this 1200 degrees Godzilla. So he's half melted. He's super cool. And then I also have this translucent orange one over here. I forget what they call, I think Blazing Godzilla is what they call him. But he's all translucent, which I told you before, I love the weird colors on Godzilla. So yeah, I can't have 3 Ultimate Godzillas go through to my best of the year list. And you know what? Even though it seems like maybe these two should stick around and not him because he's kind of weird, I love the weirdness of him. I think I'm just going to go ahead and say that -1 Godzilla, as cool as he is with those big crazy spikes and everything, I think I'm going to have to let him go. All right, I just had to take a 5-minute interlude because when I pulled Godzilla out of there, everybody else came crashing down. So I just had to pick up all my figures again. So yeah, we haven't talked about this guy back here. I just moved him over from the side of the desk. This is Hazar. This is my one and only Mythic Legions figure this year. He is like a 9-inch, I don't know, demigod type of figure. He's very, very cool. You know what? Let's talk about a couple more Marvel Legends. I love Scarlet Spider. He's a great character. He's the clone of Spider-Man, if you don't know. There have been several figures of him. This is the best one they've done. But his design is rather plain. The figure that he's replacing wasn't terrible. Anyway, he just doesn't bring enough new to the table, so he's going to go. And now this guy here, this is Crystar. And he's very cool because he is based on an old 80s toy line. The thing about him is he came out, like I ordered mine last year and I didn't get him until January 2024. But a lot of people got him a little bit earlier, especially in the States. I'm in Canada. So this figure appeared on a lot of best of 2022 lists that he just feels kind of like, does he even belong here? Because a lot of people that would watch these type of videos, best of the year, if they see Crystar on my 2024 list, they're going to be like, why are you putting that old ass toy on here? I thought you said figures had to be released in 2024. So yes, technically a lot of people did manage to get this figure in 2023, I guess. So yeah, he lacks some of that newness, and I kind of question whether he should really be on my list or not. He just is it's really cool that they made a new figure of this guy after so many years. You know what? I'm just going to eliminate him, which sucks because it is a really cool concept. I'm glad that the Hasbro Marvel Legends team decided to add this guy to the collection. It's a very cool concept. However, even as cool as he is, I wish they could have given him like a removable helmet or something. Also, they've had a year now to give us any other Crystar characters. Maybe if they had kind of teased that they're going to give us some more characters from this world, that would have been a little bit more exciting. Anyway, I'm just trying to come up with excuses to get rid of him. It sucks to do it, but yeah, I think Crystar is going to go. Now, while I'm over here making tough decisions about Marvel Legends, I think I'm going to eliminate Tombstone. This guy, this is such an improvement over the previous Marvel Legend Tombstone we got. It's a really cool suit that they've sculpted for him. I like the stripes on his shirt and everything. The face sculpt is really cool. He's just never been one of my favorite Spider-Man characters or anything. And yeah, it's just the competition is stiff this year. Good figures have to get eliminated, so I'm going to say goodbye to Tombstone. All right, I'm going to make another tough cut here, and that is I'm going to say goodbye to Wreckage and the Tiger Paw. As much as I think these vehicles are cool, vehicles are really not much of a deciding factor for me, and Wreckage on his own, he just isn't. He's not interesting enough to stand up to characters like Cobra Commander and Big Boa and Techno Viper here. So yeah, I think I'm going to have to let him go. Plus that will free up a lot of room on my desk. So now let's talk about another one of my Christmas toys. This is the Ultimates Tarn figure from Super 7. He was previously over in that corner there. I wanted this figure pretty bad when he was released earlier this year. But then I saw some kind of mid-reviews about him online, and I decided to cancel my pre-order. However, near the end of the year, I saw him on sale, and I kind of tipped my brother off that would be a cool Christmas present. So now I got him. And I'm glad I did. He is cool. But if I had got him earlier in the year when he first came out, I don't know if he would have made it through the first rounds of eliminations. For a couple of reasons. For one, he's like, for a figure that costs as much as he does, he's very loose. Like, if you see his jiggly feet there, that's not great. His articulation is very limited. You can spread his legs apart a little bit, but he doesn't have rocker ankles, so he really kind of has to stand straight up like that. You can't really pose him. And the thing with this character Tarn is he wears the Decepticon logo as a mask, and it was kind of a mystery in the comic books of who he really is under the mask. So this figure comes with an unmasked head, and then he comes with a separate loose mask, but he can just hold the loose mask. I don't know why they don't have a little peg on the extra head where you could attach the mask to it so you could kind of put the mask on and off of him. It just seems like such a simple little thing they could have done that they didn't. So this is a really cool figure. I am glad I eventually got him, but yeah, I think he might have been eliminated previously. So yeah, I'm going to let him go. So I just did a quick count, and I have about 40 figures left. So I still have to basically whittle this down by half before I can wrap things up. Another toy that's on here that I haven't talked about yet is this one here. This is Nickel. This is a Transformer. But she was really just an accessory that came packaged with the turn that I just eliminated. So in the same way that you'll see like this Cobra Commander, I have his little buddy. This came in the package with him as a sidekick. Same as Road Pig here. His dog. Where is he? This is his dog, Ruckus. Ugh. So Ruckus isn't really in contention by himself. He's here with Road Pig. So yeah, since I just eliminated Tarn, I'm going to get rid of Nickel. So let's talk about a couple other figures I have not addressed yet. I don't buy very many Funko Pops anymore. I did buy a couple this year. I got the Crow, I got a Godzilla or two, but none of them made it through to like the previous elimination rounds because Funko Pops, they just can't really compete with action figures for best of the year. However, for Christmas this year, my wife got me a 2-pack of Funko Pops from the, I forget what they call it, like Funko Yourself, maybe? You create yourself online and you get a Funko Pop. So this was a 2-pack. The box says Mike and Vanessa, as well as Buster and Casey, our cat and our dog. So it's a pretty adorable little pack, and it's a gift I was not expecting. Normally a Funko Pop would not have a chance at my best of the year, but not only is this a very sweet gift, it's pretty cool. I've always kind of wanted a custom action figure of myself. Some companies have offered similar services, but never very successfully, I think. Anyway, I just think this it's awesome. Now, this one here is supposed to be me. Now, I do have blue-rimmed glasses, but they don't really read as blue. Also, I sometimes keep my hair pretty short. I sometimes have a beard, as I do right now. I'm very rarely clean shaven. I usually have like a 5 o'clock shadow. So the problem with this Funko thing is I don't really think it reads as me. It reads as me sometimes, but I don't really have a haircut or a beard or something that I always have. I'm always kind of changing up my look a little bit. So yeah, I think if I put this on my desk at work, nobody would really say, oh, there's you as a Funko Pop. They might say, who's that? Peter Parker or something like that. So even though the fact that he's got an action figure in one hand and like a comic book in the other hand, that's kind of helps to indicate that it's me, I think I'm going to have to eliminate myself from my best action figure of the year list. However, this one here, I actually think this one does a better job of representing my wife, Vanessa. She's got her phone in her hand, which she always does. And she's got that like leopard print kind of jacket, which is something that Vanessa actually wears. So yeah, I'm not about to eliminate my wife. I think this was a very sweet idea. So that's why this figure is still sticking around. Yeah, it's very, very cool. Okay, some more tough decisions. I gave these guys a fighting chance. They're both really cool figures, but I am not like particularly nostalgic for Sesame Street or anything. You know, that was, you know, I liked Sesame Street when I was really little, but most of the things that I love, like G.I. Joes and Transformers, those come from more of my, like, you know, when I was like 8, 9, 10 years old. Sesame Street's more from when I was like 2 or 3 years old. So even though this is a cool figure, I just don't harbor the same nostalgia for Sesame Street characters. And this is a really cool figure, but it is only 5 points of articulation. It's really simple. I like that he's got the guitar, the chest hair and everything is really funny. But again, when he's competing against characters like this and like this, it's, yeah, I'm going to eliminate both of these reaction figures. So I just pulled Titania to the front because I was about ready to cut her, but I don't know if I can. She is really cool. Jack-o'-lantern, again, I just love this character so much. Sharon Carter, not a character that I necessarily love a whole lot, but it's just such a nice looking figure, especially when compared to the previous release. This Vulture figure, I had a young Vulture figure from Toy Biz in the 90s that I really liked. This one is way better than that one, but the wings are still kind of clunky. I don't really love how they made the wings work on this figure. But also, I just love his bright colors and stuff. It's a lot of these figures are rather dark, and I think, yeah, the bright colors of Vulture, I don't know, it's appealing. You know, like, I wanted the Goon to make it to the end because I just kind of want to represent the different types of toys I collect on my best of the year list, but again, it's just, I don't have much ties to this character, not the way I do to so many of these other characters on the desk. So yeah, it pains me to do so because I really do like this style of figure. Not every figure needs to have, 40 points of articulation to be cool or to be fun. Simple figures can be great, but this guy, I think I'm going to have to let him go. Okay, so who have we got left? Let's do a quick recap, because I know I haven't talked about all these figures on my desk. So we still have Kang or Kodos. I don't know which one he is, but he's the big alien from Simpsons. This is the Super 7 Ultimates figure. So yeah, he's so big with all those tentacles, I haven't been able to fit him over here yet. So he's in contention. Sharon Carter and the Vulture from Marvel Legends. We've got Anubis from the Four Horsemen, and he is incredible with tons of cool details. We've got Destroya from Super 7 Ultimate line. Mythic Legions as a Hazar. Road Pig and Raptor from G.I. Joe Classified. Godzilla, 1200 Degrees, Super 7. We've got the Frostbite Batman from McFarlane Toys. We've got Death's Head and Angel from Marvel Legends back here. Then we've got Godzilla from Super 7. Soundwave Ultimates from Super 7. Starduster and Duke. This is the Sleepwalker from the Operation Monster Force line from Fresh Monkey Fiction. Glenda, Jinx from G.I. Joe Classified. This is Gorgo from Titanic Creations. Gears from Transformers. Hiding behind Jinx is MOTU. So this is from Hiya Toys, the same Godzilla line as the King Ghidorah here. Also from Super 7, we've got Thulsa Doom from the Conan line. Then we've got Reptilax, Namorita, and then Bludgeon here. That's another Transformers. And then from G.I. Joe Classified, we've got Big Boa, the Cobra Trainer with the boxing gloves. We've got Once a Man, Cobra Commander, and the Techno Viper. And yeah, Titania, Jack-o'-lantern. Dalsum, this is from Jada Toys Street Fighter line. I don't know if we've talked about him at all yet. He's very cool. So yeah, I think that's everything. All right. I'm going to talk about the MOTU for a second here, but that's usually not a good sign. So, this is a character that I've been waiting years to get, ever since that first Godzilla movie came out, and I think it was 2014. So it's taken us 10 years to finally get a figure of this guy, and it is a cool figure. He's got way more articulation than you would expect. He moves very nicely. This was my first taste of a Hiya Toys action figure, and based on how cool it was, it prompted me to kind of nudge my wife in the right direction to get me this Ghidorah, because the Ghidorah was more expensive and I didn't know if it was really worth it. But yeah, once I saw the quality of their figures, I said, yeah, let's go ahead and try this Ghidorah out. Anyway, I think Ghidorah has a pretty good chance of advancing, and there might be a couple of Godzillas still going to. So as cool as it is to get the MOTU, he's kind of still pretty low on the Godzilla totem pole, so I think I'm going to eliminate him. All right, now let's make a tough decision between these guys. They can't both advance. They're very similar. This here is Duke. Everybody knows Duke. He's basically the face of G.I. Joe. We've had Duke figures in the past, but this one was a huge improvement. It's awesome, and I love it. I love the little visor that goes up and down. His helmet is removable. It's a really nice head sculpt. And then we've got Starduster. Basically the same sculpt in a lot of ways. He also has the visor. I like that his visor is tinted black. I think that's cool. He's got a unique face sculpt. He has also got a backpack, like a jetpack with flame effects, which is something Duke doesn't have. But man, I love this Duke. I never really cared for Duke much as a character when I was a kid, but he's really kind of grown on me in more recent years, and I think this is maybe the best Duke figure that has ever been produced in any G.I. Joe line. So to get the signature character in the best he's ever looked, it's not the kind of thing I can easily just say, well, this guy's got a jetpack, so he should advance. I'll be honest, I find myself surprised considering how little I really cared for Duke when I was a kid. And I really do like adding unique characters. Starduster is not a character that gets made into figures very often. But I think if one of these figures was going to advance, it's going to be Duke. I don't know. Sorry, Starduster. Duke, you're sticking around. In fact, maybe it's time we start doing this. I love this figure from the moment I got it. It was really kind of a toss-up when Starduster was announced, which one of them would make my best of the year list. But now that Starduster's gone, I'm going to say Duke is the first official lock. So Duke is going through to my best of the year list. And even though we haven't really spent any time talking about him over here, I'm just going to go ahead and say that Kang, again, I don't know if he's Kang or Kodos. I have both of them. The other guy's up there in the corner. But yeah, so one of them made it through the elimination. And it's just so cool. This big glass dome here is removable. You can change out his head. His eyeball rolls around so you can move the pupil. The tentacles, he came with a bunch of different accessories. You can pose the, you can see there's multiple points of articulation in the tentacles there. I'm going to go ahead and say that he is a lock as well. That is a very cool figure. So him and Duke are the first figures to advance to the best of the year list. Okay, I think I still have about 10 or 11 figures that need to be eliminated. I haven't really talked about Gears. Gears is my favorite Transformer. When I was a kid, I liked the figure of him the best, even though he was just a teeny little Transformer who didn't do much. And this is the best version of him that Hasbro has ever produced. So it's kind of hard not to push him through to the end. But as far as Transformers go, like, his design is not, nothing revolutionary. He's a figure that we've seen multiple times. I don't know. Like, I want to push him through just based on the character. The only other real transforming Transformer I have here is Bludgeon, which this is a really cool mold, and the look is based on how he appeared in the IDW comic books. So that's why he's got his face is missing, his like lower jaw there and everything, which is a really cool kind of scary look. You'll notice he's got a very similar design to Tarn, who we eliminated earlier, because this figure was first released as Tarn, and then they retooled it into Bludgeon. So that's why he's got those like treads on his shoulder, just like Tarn had. This is just a really cool figure. I like the colors. I like the sculpting. He's easy to pose. It's an improvement over the Tarn and Bludgeon version 1. So every time they release this mold, it gets better. So if one of these figures were to go through, it's kind of a battle right now of like design and aesthetic versus character. And yeah, it's a tough call. I don't know. Maybe we should talk about the other Transformer who doesn't transform. This is Soundwave. This was a Super 7 Ultimates. The Optimus Prime Ultimate figure made my best of the year list a couple of years ago. I do like these figures, but they do have a lot of flaws. The posability is pretty limited. They come with a lot of accessories, but a lot of them are kind of useless accessories. They feel a little fragile when they really shouldn't at the price point. So even though he looks like he just stepped out of a cartoon, like right out of the animation cell, I like the big blockiness of him. I think I'm probably going to let Soundwave go, although, man, it hurts me to say, because he's just so cool looking. Like, I do love, like, I have the reaction figure of Soundwave over here, if I move this guy out of the way. So you can see there's a little version of the same figure, but again, it's so small. It's only like 3 inches tall, 3 or 4 inches. This guy here being like 7 inches, he's huge. Let me get him out here for a sec. So you can see size-wise, he's big and menacing like a Transformer should be. Yeah, this is getting tough. This is where you have to listen to me hum and haw a little bit. All right, you know what, Vulture, your wings are a little wonky. You're going to go. And while we're eliminating bird guys, kind of to my surprise, I'm going to eliminate Raptor. This figure is so much better than the previous versions of Raptor we've gotten. I love that he's got the claws and the bird and the wings, the removable cowl. But he is just a little hard to handle. The wings are kind of awkward. The claws don't fit on his hands as nicely as they should. Anyway, for a variety of reasons, I guess. He's so cool. I want to put him through, but these other figures are just cooler, so I'm going to let Raptor go. Now, we haven't talked about this figure at all. So I said this was Gorgo, because that's what the packaging says, but it's not really. In the movie Gorgo, a little monster, well, a big monster gets captured, and they put him in the circus, kind of like King Kong, but then Gorgo's mother shows up and destroys the city and rescues her little baby. So this is actually the Gorgo figure, which was the name of the movie and the name on the box that these figures came in. This figure is technically his mother, Agra. And so these toys were made by Titanic Creations. It's kind of a smaller little like one-man operation. He's been doing some really cool stuff recently. This is my first toy to order from him. The amount of articulation and everything is impressive, but the figure is a little spindly, and I feel almost a little overly articulated, like the toes are articulated here, and sometimes it makes her hard to pose. I really kind of wanted to be able to put this figure on my best of the year list, you know, as a little nod, a vote of confidence in Titanic Creations. But I ordered 2 more of their figures, and they're probably going to arrive in the mail within the next month. So Titanic Creations will have a chance, a couple more swings at my best of the year list for 2025. But I think Gorgo, as their first real attempt at an articulated figure, there's room for improvement. So I'm going to let Gorgo and Agra go. All right, I think I'm still at 29, so a few more eliminations to go. And this video is going long, I apologize. All right, Frostbite Batman. I really think this figure looks cool. Like, they really did a good job of making it look like ice. It's unique in my collection. But, yeah, I don't know. It's Batman frozen in ice, or it's an ice sculpture of Batman. I have lots of Batmans in my collection. So even though this is cool, it's like getting a glow-in-the-dark Spider-Man or something. It's kind of gimmicky. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to eliminate Batman. All right, I'm going to take another look at these Marvel Legends again. So it's these 4 are the, well, these 4, actually, no, there's 2 more over there. I still have Angel and Death's Head. All right, Titania. It's a cool figure. I like her pose and everything there, but still, the character isn't, I don't have enough ties to the character. Sharon Carter, I think, is a beautiful sculpt, but the character, again, just isn't one of my favorites. Plus, I don't like her shoes. It kind of ruins the whole little, she should have boots on or something. Anyway, the fact that she's a massive improvement over the previous one isn't necessarily reason enough to put her on my best of the year list, so I think I'm going to eliminate Sharon as well. Now, of these 2, again, they're not perfect figures. We've never had a Namorita figure before. I think they did a pretty good job with her. Even though, if I'm being honest, I think I might have preferred her other look, where she has, like, Caucasian skin and a green bathing suit. And Jack-O-Lantern, again, I've just wanted a cool version of this character for so long. And let's talk about the other guys. So Death's Head and Angel. So Death's Head is a bounty hunter. He doesn't show up in a whole lot of Marvel comic books. He first appeared in the Transformers comic books. I love this character. I've wanted to toy this guy since I discovered him in the, I don't know if it was the 80s or 90s, but I've always loved this dude. He was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. I had to jump through a few hoops to get him, but he's awesome. I'm going to say he's a lock. So he's going over there with Duke and Kodos. I think this Angel figure is incredible too. I'm not necessarily a huge Angel fan because I'm not a huge X-Men fan, but when I got this figure, it was a long time coming because I have pretty much all the other X-Men figures, but I didn't have a good Angel figure. This is probably my favorite Angel outfit, so it was exactly what I wanted. I was kind of surprised to see this figure on a worst of the year list that I watched the other day, and they were mostly complaining that they didn't like the body that was chosen, and maybe the shoulders were a little low or something. So that kind of had me second guessing this figure, but whatever. We're all entitled to our opinions. I think Angel's pretty awesome. So I don't know if I'm ready to say he's a lock, but I don't think I'm going to eliminate him. So I think I'm down to needing to eliminate 6 more. So it's less about locking people as saying who's not going to advance. I know some of these figures I haven't talked about too much, but like, trust me, if they're here and they've been here this long, I think they're awesome for whatever reason. Like this Cobra Commander, mutated Cobra Commander. This is a figure I've wanted for decades, and I finally made him, and he's very, very cool. Big Boa is like awesome. Like, this is such a cool figure. And then Jinx. She's been one of my favorite G.I. Joes forever. I could go ahead and say she's a lock. She was a lock from day one for me. And she has an alternate head, so if you prefer her with her like ninja mask head, you can do that. I currently have just her displayed like this, but I love this figure. Again, Glenda is very cool, and if I am giving her credit for having a vehicle as an accessory, she came packaged with the G.I. Joe Dragonfly helicopter, which is this massive helicopter up here. So that definitely gives her a little bit of a leg up as well. So what 6 figures can go? Thulsa Doom here. I think this is just a really cool sculpt, very detailed. I like the wired cape on this guy. I think the likeness to James Earl Jones is really well done. This is tough. This is tough. I think I would say Azahazar is a lock. He's got like a wired kind of tunic too. He's got these really cool like the orbs in his staff, and just look at the face design on this guy. Like, he's awesome. I know Soundwave was close a minute ago, but yeah. And then there's Angel over there. This Ghidorah, like, he's awesome. I still haven't had enough time to really fiddle around with him to determine like how funny he is to play with. I like that you can kind of fold his wings down into a walking pose. I haven't done it very successfully here. I think I need to keep messing around with it. But the amount of detail in his design, like, he's got so many textures in him, so many little small scales. And this is just a character I've wanted for so long in a big figure. I have lots of little Ghidorah figures, kind of like the reaction figure you saw earlier. So yeah, I think he would have been a lock. The Blazing Godzilla is just super fun. I love the colors. The Sleepwalker character from Monster Force, he is super cool, and he is based on a Red Shadows figure from the UK version of G.I. Joe. I won't get into that because I talked about it in my review video, but yeah, there's just a lot of cool stuff going on here. A lot of cool figures. I am going to... I think I'm going to get rid of Jack-O-Lantern. And that's tough. It's hard for me to say, but even though I think this is definitely the best version of Jack-O-Lantern, there's still something that seems just a little smidge off with the builds. I don't know. I don't really like those little pumpkin bombs he has around his belt. He's cool. He came with his little hoverboard and everything. But yeah, okay, I'm going to cut Jack-O-Lantern, even though he's one of my favorite Marvel characters of all time. And I know I haven't talked much about Dalsim, but he is the Street Fighter character with the stretchy arms and legs, and he came with these extending wire arms and extending wire legs. He is super fun. These Jada Street Fighter toys are incredible, just the way they feel and the affordability of them. I knew this figure was a lock for my list as soon as I got him. So yeah, he's an incredible figure. Man. Reptilax is the last guy here representing Masters of the Universe. Gears, you're killing me here. So what, I think 5 more have to go. You know what? I think I'm going to get rid of the Techno Viper. I loved the Techno Viper as a kid. I love this design. I love the colors of him. The fact that he's got all of his tools stored on the back of his pack there. It's super cool. But, yeah, I think the fact that he's a troop builder, so he doesn't really have any personality of his own, is kind of holding him back right now. So I think I'm going to have to let the Techno Viper go. All right, so I think 4 more of these guys have to go. And if this wasn't my wife, she'd be gone. But again, I can't eliminate my wife. These guys are all great. Reptilax, I'm thinking about. Namorita, I'm thinking about. Angel, Cobra Commander, Bludgeon, Soundwave. Pretty much everybody else is a lock. So of those guys I just mentioned, I think Soundwave, even though he looks incredible, he has enough issues that, yeah, I think I'm gonna let him go. So 3 more to get rid of. Again, Namorita is really on my chopping block just because, I don't know. Like, I love this character. I'm super happy to get this figure, and I don't think there's really anything wrong with it. I'm kind of just feeling like this is the figure most everybody else would eliminate from this list, but they don't have the same like attachment to these characters that I do. Same as some people maybe would have eliminated Glenda or Jinx or Gears. All right, you know what? I might shake things up and eliminate a surprise here, but this is Destroya from Super 7. This is a cool, big, bulky, spiky figure. But I don't know. Like, if I had to eliminate one more Super 7 figure, I think I would have to choose him over the other 2 Godzillas. I just like the Godzillas a lot. I find this figure, like, I don't know if you can tell, but one of his wings, it always falls off. So it's supposed to have been glued in place, but yeah, I can kind of stick it in the hole and it will stay in place. But and it was in place when I first started filming this video, but it kept falling out, so I just pulled it aside. So I think the fact that the wing always falls out kind of hurts him. Plus, as bulky as he is, I feel like once you lift his arms up at a place and you look at how skinny his like waist is, I always find that's a little odd looking. He's got such big thighs and a skinny waist. Anyway, this is a really cool figure. I'm glad I got it, but yeah, I think I'm going to eliminate him next. Okay, so 2 left. I need to eliminate 2 figures. Yeah, my wife is hiding there. Come on. I know you guys are probably all bored to death watching this. I need to eliminate 2 more figures. All right, you know what? Glenda, even with your helicopter, I'm sorry, you're going to go. And Who else? Who else? Okay, I've made my decision, and it's kind of a cheat. It's kind of lazy, but I love this Gears figure. But I have another version of this on pre-order right now, which is in a slightly lighter shade of blue, and he has a different head sculpt. So instead of the face, he's got kind of the face plate, so he doesn't have a mouth or a nose. I love both looks for this figure. So I'm going to eliminate this one, and hopefully next year the other guy won't have as stiff a competition, and Gears will make that list. So I'm going to eliminate Gears. So there you have it, my top 20 of 2024. In my next video, I will be ranking these from 20 to number 1. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, so here's just a quick recap. The Sleepwalker, Jinx, Thulsa Doom, Namorita, my wife Vanessa, Reptilax, did I say Thulsa Doom already? Blazing Godzilla, King Ghidorah, Angel, Death's Head, Big Boa, Cobra Commander, Bludgeon, Dalsim, Duke, Anubis, Kang or Kodos, Azahazar, Godzilla, Road Pig with his dog, Ruckus. And yeah, I think that's everybody. So yeah, good stuff. Okay, so that was my elimination down to my top 20 action figures of 2024. So as I mentioned, me and my sometimes co-host Chad will be sitting down to do a video in the next couple of days where we are both going to share our top 20 action figures. He might only be doing his top 10, but we'll be ranking them from 20 to 1 or 10 to 1. So be sure to tune in for that. Anyway, I should wrap things up because this video went long, as they always do. Right now, I think it's sitting at about an hour and 35 minutes. Hopefully, I can edit out some of my hums and haws and get it down to a little bit more reasonable running time. But anyway, for that reason, I'm going to stop rambling. I'll say thank you very much for watching. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave me comments below, and I'll see you next time at the next video. Ciao.